An example of printing array elements. So let's demonstrate this. I will now rearrange my methods to bring more space to view when I write my example. So just move these methods down here, and so this is an example of an array of doubles. I'll move it to the top of my code and use it as an example to print these values. So let's just say that we have another public static method which does not return anything, void, and we'll call it print doubles. So it will be obvious that the way we want to print doubles, we can say double doubles. Okay, so I'll just pass my array of doubles as doubles to this method, and inside this method, right, we have our method, and here we will use the same idea. We can use the for loop to control our index. Okay, so index starts with 0, stays within the boundaries of the array length, and then of course we increment the index, and here if we'd like we can say system out print, and we can print the doubles, individual doubles, which simply uses the index subscript, and we can also add a little space to just format with spaces. Or perhaps if we want to maintain nice output formatting, we can also print new line at the end of this printout. So print line without arguments simply adds new line to the output. So we can now call print doubles in our demo code and pass prices as the doubles that we'd like to print. Okay, so let's take a look at the actual output. Just want to make sure that we display these values as we call this print doubles method. So I'll just save it and run it, and you can see that everything gets printed. Okay. So now we can use the length of our array in other contexts, such as, for instance, we can have a loop which accumulates the whole sum and then computes the average mean value by taking the sum and dividing it by the length of an array. What you really have to be careful here about is that it's actually possible to create an array and initialize it with blank initializer list, just like this. It looks a little strange, but it's possible. Okay, it's allowed by compiler. If I save it and now run it, you see it doesn't print anything because this length is 0, and therefore this loop never executes anything in its body. It never goes into this loop because this condition to begin with becomes false, and we only print new line. So because of this, you have to be careful. Remember, division by something could yield division by 0. So it'd be advisable, if you implement such formula in your code, to watch out for arrays which potentially could have 0 length. Then it's simply not possible to generate average value because you don't have any values. So it's not applicable in that case. Just be careful with this. Don't casually assume that every array has a length greater than 0. It's possible to have an array object which has no elements and its length is set to 0. So these are all of these examples right here. So we just you can realize that this is all working just fine, but there is lots of flexibility using arrays in programming language, and therefore there are also, of course, possibilities to create some bugs. Here's an example of the for loop, another syntax for for loop. It's like a separate for statement, not like the one that we've learned here. It's called for each loop or enhanced loop. So its syntax is designed for collection of elements and for arrays of elements. So typically, in many instances, including our case, print doubles, we simply want to take this array and print all of the elements. The keyword here is all elements, and when you have to deal with all elements, what you can do is you can use this enhanced loop. So I'll just repeat this one more time in the same method. So I will actually print my doubles 2 times. So this is an example of a for each, right? For each element loop syntax. So this is new syntax. It's only reusing keyword for, but it has nothing to do with the original syntax that we learned earlier. So this syntax of the for loop, it looks like this. So the same keyword, the same parentheses, the same body of the loop like this. But knowing that this is an array of doubles, what we can do is that we can say we want to sort of like visit every element. So double, we'll say value like this, and then there is a colon that specifies that is rather vocalized as for each value in doubles, in this array of doubles like this. What we would like to do is now we will be simply printing this value, okay, just like this. And so this way we will do the same thing, but for each element type of loop, compiler generates code that it's essentially generates internally something very similar to what we just tried already at the top. But this time it's just convenience of the notation here. You say, okay, for each double value in this array of doubles, we would like to basically extract every value in each iteration for each element and simply print the value out. Now, important thing to realize here is this. So doubles is an array of doubles, and I'll just draw it like in vertical arrangement like this, okay? So in first version of accessing every element, of course we use the length of this array of doubles, and we use index to access individual elements sequentially from 0 to the last element. And using the index, it's possible to use this thing right here, this reference to each element specified by the index, and be able to assign a new value, like, I don't know, 0.0, right? New value. Update the element, and 0.0 will be stored right here. So conventional loop syntax allows you to use square bracket syntax or array syntax access to not just read the values out of the array elements, but also modify them. Notice that with for each loop, this thing here, value, is a copy of this element. So unlike the index version of our loop, this enhanced loop or for each type of loop. Basically what it does, it copies each value stored, or it copies each element stored in this array and copies it over to this local variable value, and we print it. So here if we say value equals 0.0, this thing will be set to 0.0 because it's declared right here, but the initial element is not updated. So this version of the loop is generally speaking for read-only access. You don't want to modify anything, you just want to basically scan the entire array, entire element, and do something by accessing each element, but it does not give you a way to make any updates